Welcome to another full editing demonstration. This time we're taking this shot right now, which is kind of like a travel shot, something you would capture when you're out traveling or if you live in a beautiful place like this. And we are taking this photo on the left, which is pretty awesome already, and turning it into something that's a little bit more wow, a little bit more artistic on the right. If you want to follow along, make sure you open up the travel photo file. And as always, make sure you're updated to the latest version of Lightroom. We are on the currently, while I'm recording this, CC 2018, the 7.3.1 release. So if you have that version or any new version, you should be fine opening and using these files. Awesome. So let's get into it. So I'm going to go into the photo, the unedited photo. Now, first things first, I always crop in. And in this photo, it's relatively good, but the only thing I don't like are these plants on the right-hand side. Sometimes I like plants surrounding my photos to frame a subject or to frame the photo, but in this case, I think they're just mostly distracting. So I'm just going to crop in. I'm actually going to set this to a 16:9 edit. I personally like a lot of 16:9 edits just because it's good for a desktop backdrop, for a screensaver, for the screensaver on my phone or something like that. And I'm just going to leave it right around there. I am centering this right in the middle. If you want to go rule of thirds, you might want to do something like that, but I'm just going to leave it centered. Cool. So now the next thing I'm going to do is play with the exposure before we get into the color. Now, the color is something that was done mostly with brushes and adjustment filters and the graduated and radial filters. We'll get into that. First, with the overall exposure, basically I want to silhouette the people in here and I want to bring down some of these sliders. So I'm going to bring down the blacks. I'm going to bring down the shadows. I'm going to bring down even the highlights to get a little bit more information in that sky. Now with the whites, just going to kind of boost them just a little bit to bring back some of that contrast. Now, the people in here in the boat, they aren't perfectly silhouetted, but this is an amazing photo. This one's from wesaturate.com, a great place to find photos to practice editing with. And they perfectly time this shot of the fishermen throwing out their net, and you can still see them in the boat. It's quite amazing. So this is already a cool photo. You might want to just boost the warmth and then call it a day. We're going to go a little bit more experimental. I can tell that the sky is blue. It's just the fact that it's early morning, that it's a little overexposed, that we don't have that blue in the sky. So we're going to bring that back. Also, with the water, we might want to bring back some of that blue as well. So first things first, I'm going to use a graduated filter. I'm just going to click and drag over. And I don't mind that I'm getting some of the mountains because I'm going to use a range mask. Turn the range mask on to luminance. Now let's make sure we have our show selected mask overlay on. That's O on your keyboard. And if we just bring up the range, I want to make sure that I'm just selecting mostly the sky. I don't mind if I get a little bit of the mountains, especially the ones in the distance, because whatever I do to the sky, it's nice to have it blend sort of gently into the mountain as well. So you can adjust the smoothness to get it super sharp or a little bit smoother to increase the blend just a little bit. Great. So with this one, I'm going to turn the dehaze up so I get a little bit more information. And then I have two options for adding blue to the sky. I can first take my temperature slider and drag it to the left, which does a little bit, but I might also have to go into my color and choose to add some color this way. So I'm going to do that. Pick something a little bit darker blue. Something right about there. When I have the hue down, oop, that's way too purple. When I have the hue down, then I can play with the saturation. Bring that up, bring it down. Now, this is looking pretty good, but it's not as strong as I would like. I can do a couple things to try to increase the saturation. I can bring down the overall exposure a little bit, maybe just bringing down the highlights a little bit just to bring out more of that detail in the sky, and also that in turn makes this color and temperature affect more of the sky. So that's starting to look pretty good. Next things, I'm going to do the same for the water down here. I kind of want to get some blue into the water in the foreground. So what I'm going to do is with these settings, I'm just going to click and drag up, and look at that. Now that is way, way, way not what I want. So I'm going to turn on my range mask. I'm going to turn on luminance, press O to see what I'm selecting, and then I'm just going to drag. Let's see, actually, I'm not exactly sure if I want the highlights or the shadows. So if we just have the highlights or just the shadows more, I think I more want the shadows in this shot or in this part of the frame. So that's looking pretty darn good. Cool, so that's starting to look good. If I want more blue, which is something that you might want, I'm gonna try using a radial filter. So I'm gonna choose the radial filter, gonna click and drag it over our boat, something like that. We are selecting everything on the outside. And then again, I'm going to just drop the temperature up here. Now this starts to really, really add blue a lot because we're doubling it. So what you might want to do is decrease the saturation a little bit, or just dial back the temperature adjustment. I might just try dehaze just to see what that adds. So it's doubling the dehaze that we added on top. Maybe just a little bit. Cool. I might erase a little bit of this. So I'm going to take my brush. I'm going to go to the eraser. I'm going to turn down my flow. And I'm just going to erase a little bit down here because I don't really want it as strong on the bottom as I would on the top. Something like that, looking pretty good. All right, next I'm going to use my brush, and I want to brush on and really make the fisherman silhouetted. If I zoom in here, you can see that you can still see a little bit of detail, which maybe you want, but I want this to be completely silhouetted. So I'm just gonna brush over without auto mask on. I'm gonna brush over here, and then I'm going to turn on my luminance mask. Let me press O to see what I'm selecting. And then I'm just going to set it so I'm selecting just the fisherman. Something like that's pretty good. Let's increase or decrease the smoothness, actually. Something like that. And then I'm going to erase this part right here in the top left because I don't really want to select that. Turn up the flow so that it really erases it. So now let's start making adjustments. So I'm going to turn off the overlay, and I'm just going to bring down the shadows, bring down the blacks. And you can see that really starts to silhouette the fisherman. Now I might go in and increase the range, maybe increase the smoothness so it looks a little bit more natural. Something like that looks pretty good. Cool, so that's starting to look good. One thing that I also want to do is really make these hills a little bit more silhouetted. So I'm going to click new. I'm going to brush over these hills in the background and the foreground. The foreground hills are pretty dark already. I'm going to turn my range mask on. Let's try color and see what that does. Press O to show selected mask overlay. Let's choose this color right here. See how it does. Does a really, really good job. I'm going to leave my settings as is. Press O so it turns it off. And now I'm just going to bring down my shadows a little bit more. And maybe the blacks. So it's really just making that part of the photo more contrasting, more silhouetted. The last thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of more warmth to these clouds or the mist on the water and have it also come down here on the reflection of the water. So with my new brush, auto mask is off. I'm going to make the size a little bit smaller. Turn on selected mask overlay. I'm just going to brush over the mist like so. And then up here into the water. Something like this. Now if I want, I can erase parts of this that I don't want to be affected really. You can also turn down the flow and erase, and that kind of is like a half brush stroke. It's kind of less opaque and it kind of blends it in more. Now we haven't really done anything yet. We're just making our selection. Okay, looking good. Okay, so now if I play with the warmth, see how that's starting to work? Now this is looking pretty good. I might go back into our brush, actually turn down the density, and then just brush over here just a little bit, just to actually bring a little bit of warmth back. I know I used the radial brush to add some coolness and some blue to the water, but just kind of blending it in just a little bit more. Now, if I turn off all my brushes, you can see what's happening. So this is the brush that silhouetted the fisherman. It added warmth to the mist, and then it also silhouetted these mountains. Just playing around with if you want it to be a little bit more pink. Nah, I like that more yellow standard warmth. Cool, so let's see the before and after, backslash button, before, after. Now it's good to go back, look somewhere else, go get a snack, take a break, and then come back to this photo and see, does it look natural to you? Now it might be a little bit over edited in the sense that it might not look completely natural, but does it look good to you? Does it look like a piece of art? Now for this one, I would probably spend a little bit more time just making subtle adjustments to the way the sky looks, to the colors themselves, so that perhaps it's not as punchy, perhaps it's a little bit more subtle. One quick way you can do that with an overall adjustment is bringing down the saturation overall, or bringing down the vibrance overall, something like that. Because when you start adding all this color, it's natural for you to just be like, wow, this is looking cool. But then you look at it overall and it might start to look a little bit unnatural. Or maybe you come back and you're like, oh, maybe I do want some warmth to the whole photo. Anyways, I think the best advice I have is to go back, look at it, take a break, and see if there's any changes you want to make before you export and share it with the world or print it. All right, I hope you enjoyed this fun travel photo. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, we'll see you in another lesson.